Hi, I'm joined today by the renowned actuarial researcher Andrew Smith, who until recently was a partner at Deloitte. Now, Andrew is very well known for his actuarial research, but in particular he's well known for the 1997 paper on the funding of defined benefit pension schemes, which he wrote with John Exley and Shyam Mehta. Now, it's the 20th anniversary of that paper, so I thought it'd be a good time to catch up with Andrew and find out what he's up to these days. So, Andrew, what caused you to write the paper? What was the background to that paper in 1997?
So it was actually a working party, and three of us met at a conference that was looking at investment strategies. And we found that we had a common conviction that the way that investment was being thought about for defined benefit pension schemes lacked some coherence. And there were some conflicting arguments, things that didn't really make sense. In particular, there was the view that investing in shares rather than investing in lower risk assets provided a sort of free lunch for pension schemes, and that the sponsors of the scheme and the members of the scheme and indeed the taxman and lots of people could all be better off at once through this trick of investing in equities. And that contrasted with accepted financial theory, which was that if you invest in risky assets you expect to get a return, but you're taking some risk, and so that risk has to fall somewhere. It wasn't just going to disappear into the ether. So we set out trying to work out where that risk did actually fall, who was getting the rewards for the higher return on equities, which we don't dispute, by the way. Who is getting those rewards, who's bearing the risks, are the same people, are some people getting treated roughly and others getting a very good deal. So it was a bit of academic curiosity really to figure out what was really going on when the accepted version of events that everybody's a winner from stock market investment to us seemed not to make much sense.
And what do you think the impact of the paper's been over the last 20 years?
We've been blamed for all sorts of things. We've been blamed for the demise of defined benefit pension schemes. We've been blamed for pension schemes not investing enough in equities, although in fact the last 20 years have not been great for equities, so there doesn't seem to have been ex post a big cost of that. But I'm not sure those accusations are fair. What we did was we showed how to calculate how much it cost to offer those promises that were being made to pensioners, and actually you can make things less costly by having a scheme that's subject to a lot of credit risk, and rules have made it hard to do that. But it is true that and also our paper we know had a lot of influence on accounting standards, and it meant that pension schemes were disclosing a lot more about their costs and on bases which were less flattering to the schemes. So for companies, that meant that their pension scheme looked a lot more costly than it had previously looked. Now this is all kind of smoke and mirrors. It was as costly before the accounting standards changed. It was just that it was not being disclosed in a very transparent way. So arguably bringing that transparency, some corporate managers looked at their scheme and said, gosh, this is costing more than we realised, and so we're going to find some other way of providing pensions, or in some cases not providing pensions at all. But that was their decision. And we did some work, some research which helped to inform that decision. And we certainly weren't going around saying you've got to close defined benefit pension schemes, but we don't think that it's a good idea for schemes to operate under false pretences where the real costs are being hidden and not taken into account properly.
Now, a lot of research had been done in this area before. So, Fisher Black was doing this in 1980, Bill Sharp was doing it in the 70s. Why do you think your paper had so much more influence over here?
Gosh, that's a really good question. The earlier work was done by academics, and often with quite an idealised description of how pension schemes worked. And most practitioners didn't come across those papers. That research was not well disseminated. The actuarial profession generally was quite slow to pick up research in finance, and there was a long battle actually to get more of that into the ambit where actuaries would pick it up. Whereas we were fortunate, we got to present it in front of actuaries. Authors of the paper were actuaries, and people couldn't pick holes in it in the sense of you've completely misunderstood how pension schemes worked. We did it in a more comprehensive way that at least acknowledged the real wrinkles that were there in pension schemes, particularly the risks of default when sponsors go bust, the way in which benefit increases leak out to members in form of discretionary benefit improvements, and all of the accusations that were levelled at some of the earlier researchers, well, it's not realistic because X, Y, Z. I think we nailed most of those.
So what sort of things do you work on these days?
So all sorts of things, but I'm continually working on stochastic modelling of various sorts, applied to longevity, applied to market risks, understanding how to model interest rates and other market variables in the current very low environment with quantitative easing is a fascinating area. But there's a whole load of other things. So I've done work recently on the winner's curse, which is treating the purchase of insurance on comparison websites a bit like an auction from the point of view of the vendors. And they have this winner's curse that if they do their sums wrong, they'll end up cornering the market where they've underpriced it, and ways of allowing for that, and ways of understanding that. So actually, I've got a very broad list of things that I would like to research. I suspect I won't live long enough to get them all done, but I'll do my best.
But at least you now have a full-time academic role with which to research these things.
Exactly. So after 30 years in consulting, I've made a move which I've actually wanted to do for quite a long time. And I'm going to Ireland, so I'm going to University College Dublin, and I'm going to be doing a mixture of teaching and research. I'm really looking forward to that. It's quite a big move for me. It's a big pay cut, but it is a dream job I've wanted to do for a long time, which I can now afford to do, thanks to the amount that consulting has paid me over the last 30 years.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me. That's been fascinating, and hopefully everybody who watched this will find it fascinating as well. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Paul.